Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, and for those of you who are new here, my name is Ray and I'm the founder and designer of Mochip Pan. Today I wanted to share a little bit more of a personal story. This is very closely related to the heart of my brand, and that's my journey with lipedema and how it's affected me as a fashion designer. So I've always been a little bit wary about sharing this, mainly because I see so many nasty comments on social media. In the end, one of the most important treatments for lipedema is liposuction, and anytime plastic surgery is involved with anything, I feel like people tend to say, oh, well, you're taking the easy way out, or oh, you're cheating. And while I personally don't believe that to be the case, whether it's regular liposuction or medical liposuction, I still don't want to face this type of comments. You know, it's one thing if it was just, oh, I gained weight on my own and something like that, and it was hard to lose the fat or whatever. Whether it really makes a difference or not, I don't know. But especially when it's related to a disease that I really have not a lot of control over at all. Yeah, it's a touchy subject, and so I didn't really want to face this type of comments, so I've kind of held back from talking about it up until this point. But June is Lipedema Awareness Month, and I thought that now is probably the best time to talk about this. I think that there's a lot of people who could benefit from this. I'm older now, I'm less of a baby than I used to be. I'm a lot more used to seeing weird comments on the internet, and I know that it's really, really important given the platform that I am very lucky to have to try and do something helpful. So with all of that out of the way, let's talk about what lipedema is. Now I'm going to be reading a little bit off of my screen just to make sure I'm not messing up any details here. Lipedema is an abnormal buildup of fat in your lower body. It's a long-term condition that is not well known. All of the people who have lipedema are women, and lipedema happens when fat is distributed in an abnormal way beneath your skin, usually in the buttocks, legs, hips, and sometimes arms. So personally for me, I believe that I have lipedema in my legs, hips, butt, and arms. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. So if you look at a picture of like normal leg fat, you can see that it's, well, you know, fat is still a little bit lumpy naturally. It's overall quite smooth. It's not like insanely lumpy and fibrotic. But if you look at the diseased fat, which is what lipedema is, right next to it, you can see that it is really hard and lumpy, and due to all of this like pressure and pain and like stretching in those areas due to the fat, the tissue, the connective tissue also ends up getting really hard and really scarry. There's a lot of scar tissue that builds up around lipedema fat. So you can imagine having legs with this type of fat can be quite uncomfortable. I personally first noticed the signs and symptoms of lipedema in my early teens. Usually lipedema sets on around a big hormonal change in your life, puberty or menopause. And for me, I do believe it was around when I was going through puberty, but I had no idea at the time. My legs have always, for pretty much as long as I can remember, felt painful, heavy, and they always seemed a little bit out of place compared to the rest of my body. It was really confusing and frustrating, especially since most people, including like all of the doctors that I ever went to, had no idea what was going on. And going to doctors with something like this it's really hard to describe how frustrating it is, especially if your doctor doesn't know what it is. So I got told many times that, oh, you're just too fat. Oh, you just need to lose some weight. And granted, perhaps losing a little bit of weight would have helped my overall health back in the day. That was not what was going on. Whenever I would bump into something, if a dog would ever jump on me, or even just one of my partners touching my legs was enough to send me into tears. Like, it would make me cry. And I always thought that that was normal. Like, I always thought that people were around that sensitive, and that maybe I was just a little bit more sensitive than others. But I had no idea that it was not normal. You know, you don't really know if something is normal or not until somebody tells you. And I remember asking a lot of my partners, including my current boyfriend, like, oh, do your legs hurt when I like touch you? Or even if I like kind of punch you in the leg? Not super hard, but you know, kind of give you some punches in the legs, like, does that hurt you? And he would say, no, like that, not really, no. But that kind of like jabbing would be enough to make me like bawl ugly tears. Like, it was even just running, like the impact of hitting the ground and the jiggle that my thighs would have was enough to really, really hurt, like, because it's pulling on the fat and it's pulling on my nerves, and that really hurts. And I also remember a period of time where I would be covered in bruises, like constantly, all over my legs, and I never knew why, and I always thought it was weird, and it was like so common. It was such a common occurrence to the point where my friends would make jokes about me like sleepwalking and kickboxing in my sleep. It took me years to get a proper diagnosis. And I never really knew what lipedema was until I stumbled across a video on the internet. And that's another big reason why I want to do this and I want to share my story, because I'm really hoping that maybe somebody watching out there has similar symptoms and they've also been confused their whole life. I'm hoping that I can provide some answers. I mean, obviously, I'm not a doctor, I'm not diagnosing anybody, but you know, maybe I can guide you along the path to get a diagnosis if lipedema is what you have. I only got my diagnosis recently thanks to Dr. Burgos. This video is in collaboration with him, and it's all in hopes to spread the word during June, again, as it is Lipedema Awareness Month. Did you know that lipedema affects about 6 to 19% of women globally? It's not really a well-studied or documented disease even now. Like, it's getting better. Every year it's getting better, but it's not really all that well known. And the best specialists in the world are in Europe. I live in the United States, so you can imagine that healthcare is really, really hard to get. And if we think about the 6 to 19%, even if we take the smaller number in that range, 6% of women globally, like, that's a crazy high number. And lipedema, again, due to most of the experts in the world, and very few of them, mind you, they all kind of live in Europe, so lipedema often goes completely undiagnosed, and it can lead to misdiagnoses like people getting told that they have lymphedema, which is completely incurable and not the same thing, although somewhat related, but definitely not the same thing. But having Dr. Burgos listen to me and listen to my story and the pain that I've been through and look at the photos that I sent him and say, yes, you have lipedema and we can help you, like, literally, like, I'm gonna get emotional. It's just, when you spend so much of your life not knowing what's going on and not knowing why your legs hurt and just, you know, coping with it. Like, you find ways to ignore it. Oh, I bumped into a table today and it made me cry, but like, you know, I'll just ignore it. Like, you spend your life doing that so often that when you finally have somebody say, oh yes, this is the issue, let's fix it, it's life-changing. The journey that I had to get diagnosed was long and filled with so much self-doubt. I saw many doctors here that even if they did believe me and said, oh yeah, okay, you might have lipedema, they were not experts on it. They were just family doctors. They didn't know anything about it. They didn't know where to send me. They had no idea how to help me. They had no idea how to treat me. And even if there was an expert in the area that I live in, I don't think insurance would cover it. Insurance does not cover most things related to lipedema, which is a nightmare. And on top of that, finding clothes is like, it's awful. Most off-the-rack options either didn't fit or were really uncomfortable, or I had to settle for like fast fashion, poorly produced products that just had a ton of stretch in them to make it work. It can be really, really hard to find pants when your waist measurement is literally 15 inches different from your hip measurement. And I know a lot of people are hearing that and they're like, oh my gosh, I wish that was me. Like, I wish I had a juicy butt and a tiny little waist. Like, I want that. And, you know, maybe if I didn't go through so much pain every single day because of it, I would be a little happier with the shape of my body. But either way, it doesn't change the fact that finding clothes to fit something like that is really, really difficult. This struggle is really a huge part of what sparked my interest in fashion design. I wanted to create clothes that not only fit, but that felt good and made people happy and comfortable at the same time. And that's how Mochip Pan was born. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into why I made my brand and how I got to where I am, but that's definitely a huge part of it. It was just purely the desire to make inclusive, comfortable, and stylish clothing for like as many bodies as I could possibly cover. And this includes bodies that are affected by different conditions like lipedema. Some of the designs that I've made, although size inclusive, don't necessarily include me. And while I think all of us are beautiful and deserve to have cute clothing in our size, I completely understand that some people want to hide certain things, some people want to accentuate certain things. Like, we all have our own issues with our bodies, we all have our own insecurities. And for me, for the longest time, that was my legs. For my body that's affected with lipedema, some of the short designs that I've made, I just would never feel comfortable wearing. Now, I want to be clear that even if you have lipedema or like larger legs or anything, you know, no matter what's going on with your body, you should never feel ashamed to wear short designs if that's what you want to do. But I also totally understand how some people wouldn't be comfortable wearing clothes that accentuate certain parts of their body. And for me, I'm not trying to hide like my belly personally, or like my double chin that I sometimes have, depending on what time of the month it is. Or, you know, even like some flab on my arms or whatever. Like, those things don't really bother me too much, because at the end of the day, if I want to change those, I'm able to. It's always just been my legs, because no matter how much I want to change my legs, they don't really change that much. When there's almost nothing you can do about the size and lumpiness of your legs, it's really disheartening. I remember growing up and always comparing my legs to other people's legs. Like, I was so jealous of my mom for having these petite, like, thin legs. Like, she's always had thin legs, and I was always like, why didn't you give those to me? And, you know, I would see other people on the internet where even if their legs were on the thicker side, they were still shapely, and they didn't have all these lumps and craters and, like, pock marks and all of these just different things that my legs had. And I would see all these remedies online for, like, oh, how to get rid of your cellulite, or, oh, if your legs look like this, it's just cellulite, like, you have to work on your cellulite. And I was like, oh, okay, my issue is cellulite. And I spent so much time, like, scrubbing my legs, dry brushing my legs, like, trying so many different things to see no results. It really became comfortable for me to hide my legs underneath long dresses or skirts. And I want to be clear that a lot of people might be thinking, oh, well, did you try losing weight? And yeah, I mean, so here's a picture of me now, but I was also 80 pounds thinner at one point, and my legs did get smaller. Like, of course, not every single fat cell in my lower body is a lipedema fat cell. But I noticed a few things when I lost a lot of weight, and it was that my legs still overall, compared to the rest of my body, looked larger. And also the lumpiness got worse when I lost weight. It's almost as if, like, the healthy fat was filling in these crevices and these lumps, and when I lost a lot of that healthy fat, the fat, like, the diseased lipedema fat that's hard and really lumpy and fibrotic was much more obvious, and it was so frustrating. I was actually in a not so good relationship at the time, and my ex then would tell me things like, oh, well, you know, you look really good, but if only your legs were thinner, like, it would just be so much better. And first of all, lipedema or not, that's messed up, but I just remember always thinking that it was my fault, that I wasn't eating the right things or I wasn't doing the right stuff, even though I had lost like 70 pounds at that time. So up until this point, I've actually been very lucky to get a surgery treatment on my legs done already. Looking back, I really wish that I had done a lot more research on who to visit or who to see for lipedema. Although the surgery was very helpful in reducing symptoms in the parts of my legs that I had done. So I had my inner thighs done, and I had, like, the area around my knees done, like a 360 around my knees. And in those areas, I can kind of punch myself and not cry. Like, it's pretty cool. It did definitely help reduce a lot of my symptoms. Ultimately, I was left with legs that were pretty uneven, and it became very, very obvious when I gained some weight back that my legs were pretty uneven. The specific surgeon that I went to is actually now on TV, so I don't really want to talk about exactly who it is. All I really have to say is that it wasn't a botched surgery, and although they did fairly well, it was not worth the $12,000 that it cost, like, not even close. If I had continued with them, to get the entirety of my disease treated just for my legs would have cost probably over $40,000, because it requires multiple surgeries. You have to do the front of thighs, you have to do the back of thighs, lower legs, and sometimes the lower legs could be 2 surgeries. So yeah, like, tons of money. The place that I got it done, which was in Florida, only allows for 4 liters of fat to be taken out at one time. So it could have been even more surgeries. Like, 40,000 is probably a pretty generous estimate. After taking a step back, looking back at my old surgery, and doing some more research, I've decided to go with Dr. Burgos for my next lipedema treatment. And compared to the $12,000 that I spent on my last surgery, it is cheaper for me to fly to Spain, have a 1-month vacation in Europe, going, like, from Italy to Spain, eating whatever I want, staying in semi-nice places, and getting the surgery, and then flying back home. It is still less than half the cost to do that. And he's going to take out way more liters of fat than 4. And he's an expert. Like, it's kind of a no-brainer at this point. So let's talk a little bit about how lipedema has affected my design process. At Mochip Pan, I really wanted to make sure that every design starts with inclusivity in mind. So my typical size range is from extra small to 4XL, but in a lot of cases, I go from extra small to 5XL. But it's not just about the size and the number, it's about fit and comfort. Something can be big, but it will not fit people unless the size and, like, shape of people's bodies is taken into account. I spend a lot of time working on size charts, choosing the right fabrics, because depending on the thickness of fabric, it will lay differently on different bodies. I mean, I put so much thought into each and every design that I produce. Most of my favorite designs include the long skirts and dresses, like I mentioned before, but the most popular designs are usually shorter, and it's really been an internal struggle for me to actively design short things because people want to see shorter things right now, knowing that I would never feel comfortable in them. And I really like to show the designs on my body and model them for you guys so you can see a plus size body in them. And I always feel like a hypocrite not feeling comfortable in those designs, because I want to show people that being plus size is not like something special that you have to get over to like feel beautiful. I just want to show people that I am normal and confident and happy in my body, even if I did gain 80 pounds or whatever, right? Like, I want to show people that I'm comfortable and that being plus size is not a shameful thing at all, because it's not. But I end up feeling really self-conscious about a lot of my designs due to my legs and due to lipedema. Through trying to design shorter things and also wearing these shorter things, I have learned like a new appreciation for my body. I am a lot more comfortable than I used to be. It's definitely progressing and I'm definitely getting better every day, but I'm still a human being, and there are some days that I just don't want to get in front of a camera and show my legs because I feel awful about them. And I'm honestly so lucky that regardless of how I feel internally, whenever I post something on the internet, people have been so kind and receptive and nice. I don't think I've gotten any bad comments, so I am so thankful for such an amazing community. And so designing things despite my insecurities has really helped me to learn to appreciate my body. And because of this appreciation and because of this love that I have for myself, I will be going through with some surgeries with Dr. Burgos to help improve my life. I've been really worried that people here might see my choice to get lipedema surgery, which is liposuction, as some sort of anti-size inclusive sentiment. You know, me being the main plus size model for my brand, I don't want to come across as like anti-size inclusive, and I never want to suggest that people who have like bigger features on their body, regardless of where that is, that they need to treat that by getting liposuction. Like, I definitely don't think that at all. And I don't want people to think that I am saying that everybody with large legs or everybody with lipedema has to get liposuction to deal with it. While liposuction is the most effective treatment, it's not the only treatment. You can do compression garments. There's things that will like massage your calves and legs to help your lymphatic system drain some of that fluid that gets stuck in your legs. But liposuction is the most effective treatment, and I'm just honestly so tired of living in pain. I wish that there was another way. I've honestly grown quite fond of the size. I mean, I have my days where I don't like them, but I do enjoy having thick thighs, and thick thighs are kind of in right now, so it is kind of sad that like the best way to treat this is by removing that fat. I do kind of enjoy the shape of my body as it is now, and I am, as far as the lipedema community goes, I am quite blessed and quite privileged to have legs that don't stand out as much as they can. Like, lipedema can really get bad, and I am not very far along on the progression scale. I think it is noticeable, but it's not like, I don't think people would look at my legs and immediately think lipedema, and so I am quite blessed for that. But that's also kind of due to having a prior surgery as well that really helped shape my legs a little bit better. And with lipedema, it is progressive, so it's just gonna keep getting worse. Right now I might be lucky, but I mean, as life goes on and as I continue to get older, and other things start showing up, lipedema will just continue to get worse. And taking the action now to reduce it so I can enjoy more of my 20s with like legs that I can actually run on and legs that I can actually like, you know, I can play with my mom's dogs now. Like, I have never liked dogs because they would jump on me and it would hurt my legs so bad, and maybe that will change because I love animals, but just getting hurt by dogs was always so stressful. I love dogs, but I could never be around them because it would always hurt my legs so bad. So being able to go over to my mom's house, but just to be able to play with those dogs and run around, like, they would love that so much, and I would love that too. I want to go to the gym and run on the treadmill and not like hurt. Moving forward, I really don't want something personal like this to affect my design process so much. I want to be able to design without wondering how on earth I will ever take photos of myself wearing it. But with that being said, having a condition like this has truly made me so much more accepting and understanding than I think I may have been otherwise. And this really allows me to make more considerate design choices. Lipedema has taught me so much about the importance of designing with empathy. I understand the pain so well of not being able to find clothes that fit you. That's why details like elastic waistbands, adjustable straps, and roomier cuts are very, very standard in my designs, and I will always continue to do things like that. I want you guys to know that even though I am choosing to seek treatment for this condition, this is not a choice that I made lightly or out of insecurity, and that probably would have been the case a few years ago. I truly believe that anybody can learn to love themselves, especially if you're struggling with that, you can get there. It took me a very long time to love my legs, and like I said earlier, I still struggle with it. I'm human. You know, there are days that I wake up and I look in the mirror and I'm like, bleh. I genuinely and sincerely want to be a part of women's journeys to find comfort in their bodies. For them to feel excited about buying a new fashion piece and exploring whimsical fashion. It took me so long to feel comfortable at all, but looking back, I really wish that I had started to make these changes in my life sooner. I really wish that I had started to appreciate myself a lot more, a lot sooner. Living with lipedema, of course, has its unique challenges, but it's also given me a very unique perspective and a strong drive to make a huge difference in the fashion industry. My goal is to ensure that nobody feels excluded by the clothes they wear, and that everybody can visit my brand and find something that will make them feel cute, comfortable, and happy, whether it is a long design, a short design, or any kind of design. I want people to have fun looking through my brand and finding the piece that speaks to them. I'm so excited to keep designing pieces that reflect this mission and to continue growing our supportive, amazing community. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this, and if you guys have any questions about lipedema, my story, lipedema and fashion design, or or just anything, or if you want to share your own story, please leave a comment below. And please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, of course, but especially on this video, I would really appreciate the engagement because I want to reach a lot of people with this story and I want to hopefully change a lot of lives if I can. Thanks.